Welcome to Jimmy's Jobs of the Future. This is the first in a series of short podcast episodes that we'll be releasing this week to coincide with International Women's Day. It comes from some of our best female guests over the last 18 months and some of the inspirational advice that they have imparted on this show with us. The first being Anne Boden, the founder of Starling Bank. Anne Boden is an incredibly inspirational leader. She goes very much against the grain of what we expect a stereotypical fintech founder to look like. A Welsh woman in her 50s is not that stereotype. And it's a great example of talking to Anne about the various challenges that she faced and some of the stereotypes and the challenges that she came across. It exemplifies what female entrepreneurs can achieve though. She talks about the higher standards that she believed that she was held to whilst building the bank, and that fueled her passion for proving people wrong.
No, I don't think things have got any easier for women over the last 30 years. I made my career in finance and technology, and now I'm an entrepreneur. There were never any women in finance, there were never any women in tech. And there aren't any women in entrepreneurship. And I think the reason for this is that those businesses, those spheres are very, very tough on women. You have to be better than the guys. The standards that you're held to are higher than for men. So as a diverse groups tend to be held to higher standards, tend to be criticized more. So if you listen to somebody describing a woman in a powerful job or in a professional job of some sort, listen and see how often they either describe her as being too tough or too soft, and sometimes both together. She can't get it right. It is a different sort of criticism that men don't get.
I think that's very fair. How much of that has driven you, though, at points to prove people wrong? I mean, the book is as I've said already, is a great read, and it's a great story. And not all business books are great stories at all. You talk about Tom Bromfield, mentioned in the introduction and so on, how he left the company early to go and found Monzo, and he's a character that comes up in the story a number of times. How much did that drive you as well, that experience to prove people wrong? It seems like it's very deep with you to do that, and you've always had to do it to a degree, but being the entrepreneur is almost the ultimate test of it.
Yeah, I think that I must admit there were really, really difficult points in this journey. And on certain days, I didn't give up because it was just easier to carry on to the next day. Proving it is possible, proving people wrong. There's probably a bit of that in my story. In the journey, most people told me it couldn't be done. Most people told me that nobody ever starts a bank. If you start a bank, you need to be a billionaire. And you can't build a bank that actually has all new technology, which you're going to build from scratch. You can't have a new business banking license. You can't get millions of customers, and people will never trust a new bank. And yet we proved them wrong. We built a bank from scratch with a new banking license, with new technology, and millions of people sort of treasure us. And we've grown very, very fast. People told me it could not be done. And the subtext was always, it couldn't be done. And if it could be done, it wouldn't be done by somebody like you. I wasn't an investment banker. I didn't particularly have a high profile. I'd had a very successful job, but I wasn't that well known. I'm a Welsh woman that's 5 foot tall. I was in my mid-50s that had never been an entrepreneur that decided to build a new bank. Most things were acting against me, but I didn't have anything to lose. The only thing I feared was people laughing at me as being not realistic. And if that was the only thing that I had to fear, well, I was going to have a go anyway. It took me a long time to raise money, and it was very humiliating when people without the experience, without the background, managed to raise money much more quickly because they fitted the prototype, they fitted the stereotype of what an entrepreneur looks like. But I hope that people now realize that people like me can be entrepreneurs, and it is possible. As we get more and more people of diverse backgrounds, of different ages, different genders and different backgrounds, starting journeys and succeeding, then you'll encourage more.
And how do you keep going when you get no's and you get told it can't be done all the time? It must just ground you down, more of attrition almost. How did you keep yourself going and keep thinking this is a good idea? Because as you said, you had a very respected career in financial services and technology beforehand and were remunerated well in that. There must have been some points where you thought, well, perhaps, I should go back to that world, but you kept going with it.
I don't think it was possible to go back to the world, to be honest. I'd made such a bold move and told people I was going to start a bank. I think it'd been very difficult to go back to the old world. People would have thought I was just crazy. I had started this mission. I could either stop and do something totally different or continue. And I kept on going. It was probably now, looking back, if I'd known how difficult it was going to be, I wouldn't have started. But that's what happens to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs start things because they think they can do it and keep on going. But very early in the story, must be about 2014, I met somebody and they said to me, the important thing is you don't give up. If you just keep on going, you'll improve your chances. But most people just give up. And I just didn't give up. But I had certain advantages in that I had worked for 30 odd years. I had a certain amount of financial security that I could afford not to take a salary for a couple of years. And that was the advantage I had. And those advantages are not available to people in their 30s and then their 40s. They have families and they have commitments. You can be an entrepreneur at 20, you can be an entrepreneur in your late 50s. In the middle, it's far more difficult.